afternoon. This is Frankie with the Francesco Abbruzzino live news and talk show. We are live, unedited, unscripted, and rogue. We're in the Rogue News, alternative news report. This is a worldwide production. Yes, it is worldwide because I know my sisters in Italy are watching it, so I can call it that. No, I think demographics show it's really worldwide. TV, we're producing here at TVSN and Minor Threat Production. The show runs Monday through Friday from 3 to 5. You can catch the reruns 24/7. They're all at my site, which is thefrancescoabbruzzino.com. Just type it in exactly how it is on the banner beneath me. And you can watch this show live. You can watch past shows, cooking shows, some of my local news if you're here in the Sarasota County area, all that good stuff. And I just realized I did not put in my earplugs once again. That's like a common theme here for myself. We got a lot of news out there today, and of course I'm going to start my inspirational video for those of you that are new to the show. I always like to start with inspiration. After all, the title is education, educating you on things that you maybe didn't know, some different political views, some different approaches to what's going on out in the news out there. Inspire you, hopefully inspire you to get up there and do something, be it with your life, politically wise, news wise, whatever it may be. And then also to encourage you and hopefully inspire you into making some kind of change for the good. I did want to point out, someone said, hey, are you really a reporter or are you just some idiot behind the screen? And I actually am a registered reporter with the United States, United States Press Agency from a German news thing. So I am actually a international German reporter. Yes, got that right there. Okay, that's it. So let's go ahead. One other thing, I do all the technical aspects of the show. I do the research for everything and the hosting. The screen looks a little blurry. We're having some rough weather here in Venice, Florida, so I'm thinking it might be the internet connection because it seems a little blurry. Hopefully it looks a lot better on your end of the screen. So let's go ahead to the inspirational thing, and this is about a father, his amazing love for his son. His son asked the dad if he'll take if he could be part of a marathon. It's pretty interesting, and I'm sure it'll get your attention, so let's check it out. Hopefully this will inspire you.
Who taught the sun where to stand in the morning? And who told the ocean you can only come this far? And who showed the moon where to hide till evening? Whose words alone can catch a falling star? Well, I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. All of creation testifies. This life within me cries. I know my Redeemer lives. The very same God who spins things in orbit runs to the weary, the worn, and the weak. And the same gentle hands that hold me when I'm broken, they conquer death to bring the victory. Well, I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. All of creation testifies. This the payment for my sin was the precious life he gave. But now he's alive and there's an empty grave. And I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. Let all creation testify. Let this life within me cry. I know my Redeemer lives. Let all creation testify. Let this life within me cry. I know my Redeemer, I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. He lives.
How great was that? I tell you what, that was a truly inspirational video. I got to stay away from these two. Oh, you guys didn't even see it the whole time. Yeah, I had it on me. Oh boy, I forgot to hit the one screen. I tell you what, we're going to play that again at the end. I tell you what, it's a tearjerker. I was starting to ball up, and it's one man's inspiration to get out there with his son, help him to run a triathlon. I can't believe I didn't have it on that screen. We'll catch it at the end of the show. Basically, this individual takes the... You know what? Let's do it now if I have it, because I can't believe I messed that up. Let's try it one more time. Sorry about that, folks. You know what? We can't because I got rid of it. Hold on. Yep, I got rid of it. All right, we'll try playing it tomorrow. I can't believe I did that. Okay, basically, this is an individual. His dad, what an inspiration. This guy's about 60 years old. He's out there doing a triathlon on the swimming part. He's got a raft behind him. He's pulling his son who has a major handicap. Then he gets done. He carries him all the way up and puts him on the bike, rides the bike portion, and then he puts him in another object and strolls like a stroller and goes out for the run. And it's just tremendous what this father does, his love for his son and what he does for his son. I really apologize for not putting it on there. I'll get it tomorrow and I'll play it for you guys because I think it was truly inspirational. And actually, I know a way to get it. So 1 second here. I'm going to go and do something real quick. And this is when I always say those technical issues tend to bog me down because sometimes the technical end of this show just bogs me down, and I get caught up. So we're gonna play it again because I think it's truly
Discover the Civic Sedan. It's packed with innovative features you'll love.
Who taught the sun where to stand in the morning? And who told the ocean you can only come this far? And who showed the moon where to hide till evening? Whose words alone can catch a falling star? Well, I know my Redeemer lives. I know my Redeemer lives. All of creation testifies. This life within me cries. I know my Redeemer lives. The very same God who spins things in orbit runs to the weary, the worn, and the weak. And the same gentle hands that hold me when I'm broken, they conquer death
tell you what, that smile on that kid's face makes it worth it, every second of it. Truly inspirational. There's the bond between the two, and then that a father could go out and do that. And trust me, I'm a very active person. Doing a triathlon, be it a mini or a full, with the way this individual is doing it is hard. I first came across this when we had a run. It was there's an event here that comes to Venice, Florida. I forget the name of it, but it's basically a triathlon, and that's when I first was tuned into this individual, reading up on him, and I was so impressed that a father would do that for his child. And I tell you what, that's a tearjerker. Now to the news. The whole format of this program, how I came about this was I started my Educate Inspire Change page, and the idea is to share alternative news that you don't regularly see in the major media. Some of it, maybe 10% of it you do, most of it you don't. So it's to get more information out there so that we can get a better understanding of what's happening in the world around us. Then I noticed that there was so much information that, because I'm pulling from all these different news sites, that trying to keep up with it in the threads could be troublesome. So I started taking some of the major stories, and I thought, well, I'll do a news and talk show. So the call-in number is 941-584-4874. You can call in, you can ask questions, you can argue with me, you can discuss the subject matter that we're discussing. Every once in a while I'll have interviews. Yesterday I had an author on, Judy. We talked about the 22 different personalities from satanic child rituals, abuse, and that was very interesting. I think I have either tomorrow or maybe Friday, I have a physical exercise guru coming on, Kim. So that'll be interesting, and I'm trying to line up some better interviews. So this one, Navy. I'm an ex-Navy guy, so this caught my interest, and it just caught my interest in regards to our reliance upon oil, of what they can do. But also, somehow it concerns me a little bit, because then we're taking away from another resource, water, albeit salt water in this one. They say that the Navy's a decade away from mastering a procedure that will make high-powered fuel for military fleets of ships out of run-the-mill seawater. They said that they've already demonstrated that new state-of-the-art conversion methods can turn ordinary seawater into liquid hydrocarbon fuel potent enough to power a small model aircraft. The process will provide the Navy with a way of refueling, instead of bringing on a task force, a fleet that's tasked to carry them 600 million gallons of fuel to their vessel on an annual basis. Scientists say it's about 10 years out. But it's interesting that we have the ability, the technology, to go out and do something like that. And if we can do that for ships, what are some of the other technologies that we can use for cars? And we got an incoming call, so let's see who this is. This is the Francesco Abbruzzino Show. You're live.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Francesco.
Good. Who am I talking to?
This is Frank.
Hey, Frank.
I live in Jacksonville, Florida. I had a few questions I wanted to ask.
Sure.
I just got a new tattoo, and it hurts really bad. I'm bleeding. I saw your tattoos. What do I do to get this pain to go away?
Your tattoo's bleeding?
Yeah, it's looking pretty bad. I don't know what to do. I'm shaking. Help me out, Francisco.
I've never had my tattoo bleed. When they first start doing your tats, they bleed. I would contact your general MD. They shouldn't be bleeding.
Oh no!
They bleed at first, but they shouldn't continue to bleed.
It's weeping. It's hurting bad.
If that's actually the case, I would get to your general MD.
Can I wrap it up maybe? Because I'm just too scared of the doctor. I have a real phobia of the doctor.
You can wrap it up and just, you're supposed to keep it clean, keep it lubed. They give you the lotions to put on there, but if you're being sincere, that's a little concerning. I've had a ton of tattoos, and you bleed when you're first in there and they're first doing it, but they clean it off, and then there's a little bit of blood, so they'll wrap it up sometimes, but you shouldn't have that much blood.
Oh no, it's bleeding more. Oh no, I don't know what to do, Franny. I always watch your show. You always have the answers. I just wanted to call you and ask you.
All right, sorry I couldn't help you.
Okay, you have a nice day. Oh, God.
All right, you too. All right. I don't know who that was. I think it was a prank, but it was interesting. Okay. That's on the saltwater. And the next one is on OkCupid, CEO also guilty of anti-gay campaign donation. This came out yesterday. This is a hypocrisy here. OkCupid put something out on their dating site. And this is a dating site for individual LGBTs, lesbian, gays, bis, all that stuff. And they said that because if they're using Mozilla, they won't be able to use their site. And they were greeted with this basically because Brendan Fish, the CEO of Mozilla, had at one point donated $1,000 to a Proposition H in California, which they deemed to be an anti-gay agenda. So what they did is they put a lot of pressure through OkCupid, the LGBT community, put a lot of pressure on the Mozilla to get rid of the CEO, and he was fired about, 2-3 days ago. Well, now it's funny. It comes out that according to the records unearthed by Martha Jones, and they give the site, it's on marthajones.com, OkCupid CEO Sam Yegan donated to a politician that was very staunch supporter of issues reviled by the gay activists. In 2004, Yegan donated $500 to a local congressman, Chris Cannon, who's a Republican. Cannon was a conservative who voted for a constitutional amendment to ban gay marriage. He voted against a ban preventing employers from firing employees based upon their sexual performance or preference, voted to prohibit gays from adopting children, and a host of other issues. So here it is. You have the CEO of this OkCupid who sparked this whole retaliation against vendetta, if you will, against the Mozilla CEO because he supported Proposition 8 in California. Yet this individual is out there supporting politicians that are worse than supporting Proposition 8. I think it is for the support he threw to this guy. Yet nobody says anything about it. LGBT is okay with it because the guy's basically a CEO of a gay dating service. And he's the one that started the whole witch hunt after the Mozilla CEO. So a bit hypocritical of both the OkCupid, of the CEO, of the LGBT community, and hopefully they'll take action against this guy, just like they did against Mozilla. I doubt it, but it'd be nice to see something like that. This is on equal pay. And I thought I had something here. I brought it up yesterday. We'll pull up the video as I talk. The president came out, Obama came out yesterday and stated that he was all for equal pay, that women weren't paid enough. Let's listen to this video real quick.
Signed a couple of executive orders to advance the cause of equal pay for women. Let's call this a textbook case, Margaret, of do as I say, not as I do. As the White House says women should be treated equally, Jay Carney, the press secretary, was asked yesterday about this statistic. Women at the White House get 88 cents on the dollar compared to men. Jay Carney says, well, we're making progress.
We have, as an institution here, aggressively addressed this challenge. And obviously, though, at the 88 cents that you cite, that is not 100, but it is better than the national average.
It's better than the national average. I guess the coach would say, is that the best you got?
Yes, kind of the best they had. I mean, Jay Carney's issue with the way these numbers are sort of aggregated is fine, except for that the problem is that it's the same way that national numbers are aggregated. He's saying, well, it's apples and oranges. The statistics are more complicated than they show. You're taking the average, and that includes a lot of women who have lower paid jobs on the sort of bottom.
And she was making a valid point there. Normally I'll finish it, but she just goes on to talk a little bit more. There's a point, They come out, and the president wants to go out and basically announce that he's going to fight for equal rights for women when it comes to pay. And I yesterday said that it's all politics because he was looking at the two executive orders he was going to push out were meaningless. They weren't going to get women better paid. Basically, his 5-minute speech brought more attention to it than what he was planning on dealing with his executive order. So it was all politics. It was all politics to get out there and to move the conversation off of stuff like Syria and arming the militants, his issues over with Russia right now and how we basically finance that whole uprising, and then we put in a puppet government in Ukraine. He wants to distract people. Obamacare. He doesn't want people talking about that. So let's go out there and say that we support equal pay. Lo and behold, he should have checked his own numbers. I think it's 88% or 12% of their pay rate's 12% less than that of a men's in the own White House. So to put the spin on it, Carney says, well, that's better than the national average. Come on, folks. These guys are incredible at that White House. And then he also went in to build a case that, well, these numbers are skewed. Now, when the numbers work in his advantage, like 7.1 million Obamacare signups, the numbers are perfect. Forget all the how the numbers are skewed, and I've covered that in detail over the last few weeks with the holes that are, the holes in his numbers. Let's forget all that. One thing I did notice there is that saltwater story came up as I was coming on air, and I forgot that I had a news story on there, so let's check it out real quick. I'm not going to get behind on my news stories today. Hold on.
Extracting carbon dioxide and producing hydrogen from seawater is part of a larger project to create liquid hydrocarbon fuel. In January 2011, NRL scientists commissioned the carbon capture skid at NRL's Center for Corrosion Science and Engineering facility in Key West, Florida. This carbon capture skid and the facility enabled scientists to demonstrate the concept and feasibility of capturing large quantities of carbon dioxide and produce hydrogen gas using seawater from the Gulf of Mexico. These conditions allowed NRL scientists to obtain key technological information that will be used to optimize the process and create a future prototype module. At the laboratory scale in Washington, D.C., NRL has developed a two-step process to convert carbon dioxide and hydrogen to liquid hydrocarbons. In March 2013, NRL scientists used the fuel they produced from this process to successfully power an internal combustion engine for the first time. In September 2013, this fuel successfully flew the RC model aircraft at Blossom Point, Maryland. NRL scientists are now upscaling to a commercial channel reactor to increase fuel output and obtain technical information that will be used for future scale-up and design.
All right, so there you have it on the whole saltwater conversion to fuel the aircraft. Now, we're going to go into what I'm calling this segment Global Freedom. 941-584-4874 is the call-in. This first one's on the Global Twitter program, and it was just another way that the United States is trying to meddle into other countries and cause uprising, cause protests like they did in Ukraine or Venezuela, to get the people so that they start seeing more information, they start absorbing more in the info war, and they start thinking, wait a second, why are we putting up with this communist system? Why are we putting up with all of our freedoms being taken away? They'll start uprising, and then they'll try to overthrow the Castro brothers, which is the goal down there in Cuba. So what they did is internet's very censored down there, so they thought, hey, let's start this text service. And first they started the text service, which they called it's like a Cuba Twitter. It's a texting service, and let's see, it's called Zuneo program. It shows once again that the United States government has not renounced its plans to subvert Cuba, according to this article. Vidal called the United States to respect international law because they're violating it, attempting to develop a no-frills Cuban Twitter. What the Zuno did is basically was a texting service, and I'm going to pull it up as I talk, and it would send a text out to individuals with just basic stuff. Once they started to capture these individuals and get them more involved, then they started putting out more information in the info war to try to get them to start wondering, hey, what's going on with our government? Where are my freedoms? And start to question a lot of the issues out there. I see it as a good thing, but I just don't think the United States should be meddling into all these internal affairs. So let's go ahead and listen to this.
The National Development Agency has admitted to running a Twitter-like social network in Cuba. However, it has dismissed allegations it was an attempt to undermine the government, saying everything it did was completely within the law. But as RT's
of course it was to undermine the government there, folks.
Everyone is convinced.
An investigation by the Associated Press has revealed that the U.S. government has once again tried to steer protests in Cuba by creating a messaging network which was designed to become the Cuban Twitter. The social network, based on text messages, was launched 4 years ago and was called Zunzuneo. Now, at the time, nobody knew that the program was conceived in Washington and carried out by the U.S. Agency for International Development. The Associated Press investigation reveals that extensive efforts were undertaken to conceal the true nature of Zunzuneo using offshore bank accounts, front companies, and overseas servers. The AP quoted a 2010 memo from a contractor involved in the initiative as saying, "There will be absolutely no mention of United States government involvement. This is absolutely crucial for the long-term success of the service and to ensure the success of the mission." The mission being Cuban Spring, of course. Apparently, the idea was to create a service that would carry neutral content at the beginning, but once it gained enough subscribers, that's when it would be used for political purposes. The AP quotes another document saying, "Mock ad banners will give it the appearance of a commercial enterprise." You can't see any of it now because the program was shut down 2 years after its creation. Not clear exactly why. Some sources have said because of lack of funding or maybe because of lack of efficiency. So there are still questions. At its peak, though, the network had around 50,000 subscribers. And for a while, many unsuspecting Cubans kept guessing why their new free messaging service stopped working all of a sudden. Oh yes, by the way, apparently the initiative also appears to have had a surveillance dimension to it, according to the AP. Contractor Mobile Accord began building a vast database about the Zunzuneo subscribers, assessing their quote-unquote receptiveness and political tendencies. Well, now that these subscribers know who was really behind the service, the White House says they were not trying to dupe anybody at all. They were just being, quote-unquote, discreet. Here's Jay Carney saying, "Of course the government has taken steps to be discreet, but this is not unique to Cuba." U.S. officials will argue there's nothing wrong about facilitating communication, flow of information. It's all protected under free speech. Fair enough. But there's a fine line between informing people and fomenting revolutions in order to align certain states with your interests.
And you know that
in Washington,
that's the bottom line. What the issue is here, guys, that we're going out. And Obama administration has done this on numerous occasions so far. They did it with the Ukraine. They did it with Venezuela, where they're formatting protests out there and getting people to go out, and it's gone beyond freedom of speech. So what do you do then? You know, and how many billions of dollars are being spent? In Ukraine, we spent $5 billion formatting that uprising, and now we've put our political puppets in control of that country. And now if you study it, the situation's just breaking down, which I'll cover today, and it's getting worse there. And the United States continues to bully around Russia in this situation and blame Russia for going into the Crimea when we started it all. We formatted the revolution there. We paid it. We financed it. I played many times the phone conversation that Nuland had, where she was discussing the amount of money that they've given the protesters. They were discussing the government that they wanted to set up after the revolution. So, when do you draw the line? And do we, as U.S. citizens, want to be pulled into something like that? There was today there was something in the news, a poll that went out asking most Americans, where is the Ukraine? Most of them don't even know where the Ukraine is. They didn't even know the Ukraine existed, and it's the first time they've heard of the country, the Ukraine. So that's just food for thought, guys. Another thing, Google. They got their streetcar, and I think it's right up here in Sarasota this week, and they were fined by Italy 1 million euros. That's about 1,400,000 for their Street View privacy breaches. And it's funny because I used to live in Italy, and my car was actually on a Street View from my old apartment in Italy. And my sister had her clothes all hanging up, and she was embarrassed as heck from it. The internet giant Google has forced to pay another fine for breaching privacy with their Street View program, forking over €1 million to Italy. In 2012, the FCC stated that Google staff actually knew the Street View cars were stealing private information. Still, the U.S. agency cleared Google of wrongdoing. Imagine that. In 2013, Google agreed to pay $7 million to some 30 states in order to settle the charges surrounding the collection of private data by Street View cars. I'm wondering if any of these 30 states, if any of the residents will see any of that money. I'm wondering if the €1 million, if my sister or any of the citizens of Italy will see that money. I doubt it. It's great that they're taking this action and saying that it's unacceptable, but here's the thing, the hypocrisy. I guarantee the Italian government's just as bad as the American government when it comes to spying, when it comes to invading your privacy. You don't have all those rights. First of all, you don't have as many rights as you do in the United States. However, they're certainly diminished, and I can surely guarantee they'll spy on you. I mean, you just go along with rights. I remember I would drive my car down, and because I was an American in Calabria, which is in South Italy, it seems like I was always getting targeted. I'd get pulled over, and it might have been the nice cars I was driving. It might have been the fact that I didn't work there, or they didn't perceive me as working. I was actually working because everything was on a computer. And I remember I remember one time being pulled into a bank and read the Riot Act that they don't accept mafia money because they saw that I had a couple dollars in a bank there and that I wasn't working and I drove a nice car. The cops, when they pulled me over, they pulled my Lexus over, and you'd have one cabinary with a machine gun pinned at you and another cabinary coming over wanting your papers. Just for the hell of it. They could pull you over just for any reason and stop you and check your car, get you out of the car, and be a total pain in the butt. So sometimes, even though our rights and our liberties are diminishing here, they're still a lot better than in Western European countries. This is Italy and Western Europe. Next, we're going to go to warrantless search on transit trains. This is, again, we're covering our freedoms, our liberties, and how they're slowly being taken away. And again, folks, it's not that a lot of you might say, so it's just a warrantless search on a transit. What do we care? It's the fact that they're taking little bit by little bit.
Here we go. Chinatown, Orange Bloodstone. We have strong suspicion that they just set up a checkpoint downstairs. Right there, you see police vehicles.
Actually, that one as well. I watched somebody get out of it and film.
And we saw them with boxes and some strange stuff going downstairs. So we're going to go check it out.
Transit watch.
We've got the transit watch set up.
All right.
So these two are going down to see exactly what's going on. They had a report that there was some warrantless searches happening down here. So they're coming down to investigate it. You got the transit watch, so you're being notified, the public notification.
So for being a citizen in public and using public transportation, you could be subjected to random security inspections of your handbags, briefcase, and or other carry-on items.
And that's how they try to get around it, is by saying, you were notified, you're running on our transit system.
The bags we searched or removed.
And we need to do this for your protection.
Basically, right here.
Also, they're threatening trespass with a $150 fine in a public place.
Yeah, that's amazing. You can get a fine for trespassing in a public place.
Cool. Swipe your bag, check for a bomb, prove that you did nothing wrong.
Security inspection. So are you guys running a checkpoint today? Yep. Can I get your names and badge numbers, please? Because I'm curious. I'm sorry, what?
535.
535? Thank you.
You take the train?
I'm sorry, what?
You guys take the train? Nope.
No.
Almost, guys.
Alright. I appreciate that.
So, to wrap up, as you can see, the protests last year against the TSA, these checkpoints, they had limited success. They're back. We're coming back.
Clearly.
Defend the Fourth is coming back. Hardcore. Thank you, officer.
Alright, thank you.
Alright, so, basically what we saw there was just that the government entity, he said TSA, I'm not sure it was TSA, it looked more like Boston Police there, that they're taking away your liberties because they feel they can because they put out a notification. It's a transit watch. We're notifying you that we're going to be searching you and everything, and if you don't want it, then just don't take this train. And I don't even know if they would stop there. If I got there and threw a fit because they were going through my stuff and I didn't have a camera, I don't know what action would take place. But our liberties are slowly slipping away, folks, and that's the point here. It's not that, hey, if I'm not doing anything wrong, what do I care? It's the fact that our liberties are slowly going away. Here it is. This is an article that said 10 things you could do in 1975 that you can't do now. You could buy an airline ticket and fly without ever showing an ID. You can't do that now. The government tracks where you're flying to. A lot of people say, well, that's for the tourists. I don't know if that's really for the tourists. I think that's what they use to get their foot in the door. But they don't need, I mean, I don't look like a tourist. But they use my ID and they're tracking everywhere that I go now. You could buy cough syrup without showing an ID. Now you go into a pharmacy and I got to give them an ID because they think I'm using this cold medicine for a drug. It's like, I got a cold. I'll have sinuses coming out my nose, but they want me to sign off on a log, presume ID, and all that stuff. When you buy and sell gold coins, the government wants to know who's buying the gold. Of course, they want to track where all the gold is. Guns, without showing an ID, you can't get a gun. You used to be able to buy a gun, and you know that goes along with the whole registration. They keep saying, we want you to register, we want you to register, and we want to pass laws mandating you need to register. But I tell you folks, you are registered when you buy a gun. I went in, I bought my gun, they did a background check. I guarantee you I'm in a database and the government knows where I'm at. And I put up an article and a video. It was about maybe a month ago where an individual was driving down the road and he was pulled over. It was in another state. They did a background check and found out that he was a gun owner. How did they find that out? He said he never registered. So they found out when he went in and purchased a gun and it was uploaded to some magical government database. So they know where the guns are. They don't need us to register. I don't know what the big gripe is about registering. You couldn't get a job. You could get a job without having to prove you're an American. You could buy cigarettes without showing an ID. You could have a phone conversation without the government knowing who you were calling and when you were calling. You could open a stock brokerage account without having to explain where the money's going. You could take money out of your bank. And it goes on. And the bank thing really drives me crazy. I remember, I used to, a long time ago, before I went to Italy, I would take out any kind of sums of money I would want to, $5,000, $10,000. Well, not, if you go over $10,000, they report it to the government, but they've really limited it. And why do they need a report? If I go to my bank and I have $20,000 in there, that's my money. Why do they have to? And I've paid taxes on it. I've got it through a paycheck or I've gotten it through my company. I'm paying taxes. It's reported income. Now I'm taking that $20,000. Why does that have to be reported to the government that I decided to take it out of the bank and not leave it in the hands of the banksters and go put it somewhere else? Just like when I go to another country, why do I have to notify them that I'm bringing in more money? The coming Constitutional Convention. I told you guys this the other day. Michigan passed the legislation, the mandate, so now they can have a constitutional convention pursuant to Article 5 of the U.S. Constitution. There's 34 states to call for a convention. The convention is required to take place. And last week that happened with Michigan, as I stated. However, a national convention for it to take place, then everything is on the table, guys. All of our rights are on the table. All of our liberties, the Bill of Rights, our right to own a handgun could be taken away. Our right to freedom of press, our right to free speech, all that can be taken away, revised to protect us from the current terroristic threat that's out there. This person has concluded that the globalists who have hijacked our government, a lot of the conspiracy believe that the globalists, and who is the globalist? You don't know. The people that have overtaken the government, and it's almost like a shadowy figure, are trying to provoke a revolution of sorts. This individual constructed the list, which consists of over 30 soft kill methods that globalists are utilizing to try to, as a way to depopulate the world. And that's through MSG, fluoride water, vaccines, GMOs, chemtrails, all that good stuff. It says that it's bringing the average American to their knees. The dollar's hanging by the thread. The if the dollar hyperinflates, this will make the Great Depression of unemployment numbers look like a walk in the park. We're on the verge of losing our retirement accounts. I don't know if you guys saw this, and I did a show on it, where one of the things on the table right now is for the government to come in and basically take your pensions, your 401ks, and say, we'll manage it. The government's going to hold your money. We'll manage it and take care of you when you retire. It's going to end up being the same as Social Security. It's a way for them to get your money and for you to be without, and you're then bound to the United States government. You have to rely on them. They've got you where they want you. Groceries have recently risen 30 to 40%, yet the government says there's no inflation. I go to the grocery store every week. I can guarantee you there's inflation. Ukraine, if that starts to skyrocket out of control, we're going to have increases in gasoline, especially over in Europe. Politics are run by two parties, the Democrats and Republicans, which are basically managed and ran by globalists and the banksters out there. Gun confiscation is their ultimate goal out there. The Second Amendment has really been stripped down basically to all you can do right now is the right to bear arms. High employment rates, skyrocketing food prices, water and food shortages alone causing a lot of concerns. I'm going to cover the water shortage just briefly. Tax Freedom Day falls 3 days later. Why is that? Because there's less revenue coming in, more taxes being paid out thanks to lovely entitlement programs like Obamacare. The day when the national collectivity has made enough money to pay its total tax burden for the year has increased by 3 days. Let's see. So according to a report released Monday by the Tax Foundation, this year's Tax Freedom Day falls 111 days into 2014. Americans will have made enough to pay the $3 trillion in federal taxes and $1.5 trillion in state taxes. It's coming later, they say, because of the slow economic recovery and tax policies that are have been instituted out there. So basically, it's increased 3 days because we're paying a heck of a lot more money, less money in the common folks' hand, like myself and you people that are listening out there. How about this story? And I don't know if I have. No, this is really strange, and this should scare the hell out of you on how much power government has and what they can do and how far the reach goes. This is on a woman. She says she was swatted at gunpoint after shopping at a garden store. The DEA agent stormed into her Illinois home and arrested her after she shopped for some organic fertilizer at a local garden store. Police reports released part of the lawsuit stating that 4 DEA agents and 5 cops descended upon this 46-year-old's home. Her name is Angela Kirkings, around 5 in the morning last October. The raid was a culmination of a month-long stakeout during which the feds searched through the Kirkings' trash, monitored her electricity, and basically spied on all of her activities. The trip to an indoor garden center sealed the deal, and they came cracking down on her. She was charged with 2 misdemeanors as the feds turned up a paltry 9.3 grams of marijuana. But what's scary about this, guys, is how it started. She went in and basically bought some organic soil. Somebody ratted her out. Are we in a communist Russia right now? Somebody ratted her out. Somehow she was pegged, and they said, organic soil? This must be a marijuana grower. So they started checking her electric bill, and they said, your electric bill's higher than the average person. And they started putting one and one together, went through her trash, and went in there. They found that she was not a grower of marijuana, but she had some in her house, which I can guarantee you 80% of the houses out here probably have marijuana in there, enough for a joint or whatever they're having, especially in Colorado, or is it Oregon where it's legal. So bottom line is they took a bunch of... They went out there and basically took information from a rat that had concerns because she was buying organic soil, and it overblew. They overblew the whole thing. Next thing you know, it's blown up, and this poor lady's being faced with 9 guys with guns in her face at 5 in the morning, alleging that she's some marijuana grower. What has America come to, you guys, when we see something like that, or like this next story, which I'm going to pull up. Let me see if it's an InfoWar one. This is a story about a family that had snipers training on them as they were filming. And what he calls it, the Red Dawn Supporters Rally to Defend Family. What happened is, this is a cattle guy. He basically had a farm out in Wyoming, I believe it was, and the government's instituted a new federal land grab out there, which basically they're getting all this land. Actually, let's listen to this first and I'll cover it. If we can get it to play, there we go. You know what? I got to see if you guys... Now I'm nervous you guys aren't on the right screen all the time. All right. We might not be able to get this to play, but basically, as we're waiting for it, let me just hit enter one more time and get it down here. Okay, this was in Nevada. There was another incident in Wyoming I was thinking of, but this one's in Nevada with the Bundy family. They were out there on their ranch, and they're embroiled in a spat over the Bureau of Land Management, which is taking over the land. I think they own like 87% of the land out there in Nevada. The feds say, as I talk, it's going to start typing. The feds say that the move is about to enforcing the law and protecting endangered desert tortoise, but the Bundy family says the spat presents a showdown between big government and American farmers. They violated a rule. They violated a rule yesterday, which basically they were on the highway. The government says that they were standing off the highway, so they were in a constitutional free zone, which means they did not have any constitutional rights in the Fed's eyes. It says we're on the state highway, not even off the right-of-way, even if you want to call it that way, on the federal land. They took his gun because they said they saw it as a danger, or his phone. I tell you, I don't think it's going to play, folks, so we're going to come back here. When Dave Bundy's father, Cliven, attempted to contact emergency response in both Mesquite and Metro, they attempted to discover the whereabouts of his son. They told him to get off the phone or they would be arrested. They said that his family had no rights. It was a First Amendment free zone, and it was an interesting story, but they thought the phone was a gun, and so next thing you know, they had people with snipers out there with guns trained on them because they were concerned that it may turn into an issue where the individuals aren't going to tolerate government come in and stepping all over their rights, so they brought in snipers and everybody else to defend the government's stance of taking this land. Obamacare dropped last week after Obamacare closed out. We're going to watch this one, and this is going to take a second to pull up. It's a Breitbart article. I just don't seem on my game today as I'm doing this show, it seems like, but we're going to keep plugging through. For some reason, I seem off my game. This is roughly 1,800 New Jersey children had their insurance plan canceled last week due to Obamacare. Bob Miotola told the NJ.com news of his son's cancellation made him extremely angry. Without having the safety net, if any illness should arise, he will probably take him to the ER because they have no insurance. As you know, yesterday I pointed out that if you did not get on the Obamacare exchanges, basically... Alright, we gotta listen to this video. There's no silencer on it. Okay, that was great. Dropbox for business. Here we go.
Last week, approximately 1,800 New Jersey children's insurance plans were canceled because of Obamacare. New Jersey had a low-cost insurance coverage plan called Family Care Advantage, which did not meet the minimum coverage requirements set out by Obamacare. Family Care Advantage was offered by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey and was made for people who make too much money to qualify for Medicaid. The plan, which costs parents just $144 a month for medical, dental, and vision coverage, lacked coverage for things like mental health services, which is a requirement of Obamacare, which deemed the plan illegal and shut it down last week. The Obamacare plan offered by Horizon Blue Cross Blue Shield of New Jersey has a $1,500 minimum deductible, and most families whose plans were canceled are ineligible for Obamacare subsidies because they make too much money. This means many of these children will now be uninsured going forward.
right, so there you have it. Obamacare at its finest, folks. So these are individuals. They did not qualify for Medicaid. They did not because they made too much. They did not. They made too much. They didn't make enough to cover, or they made more than enough for Obamacare. So they were stuck in the middle, which is actually how one of my sisters is right now. They don't qualify for Medicaid. They didn't qualify for the exchange, and they're without insurance. That's how this family's doing now. Now, they thought they had an insurance policy, but because it didn't carry the mental health and whatever other aspects of Obamacare, it was deemed illegal, and they were dropped. And they were dropped, last week? So, just after Tuesday or Monday at 12 o'clock p.m. was the deadline for Obamacare, so they were dropped after that. So now these people are going to go without insurance until November. Does that sound like a system that's working? Does it sound like Obamacare is something that's helping this family? 1,800 kids. Now, if one of these kids end up getting sick over that timeline, this family is going to go into financial issues, trying to make sure that their son or daughter is taken care of. And will they have any coverage? Will many of the hospitals just turn them away? So this is just another issue that we have with Obamacare, and the list continues to grow and grow and grow and grow. And I've said it for the last 3 shows. I'll say it again. What we need less bickering from these Republicans and Democrats. The Republicans are out there now saying, we repealed it, bonehead, Boyner. We repealed it. We tried to repeal Obamacare. When what he did is they just passed another exception for mid-sized companies into Obamacare, and he's trying to deflect us from that by saying, we repealed it. Basically, the Republicans and the Democrats are in the pockets of the large insurance companies that are making all the money off this, because Obamacare is basically a welfare program for insurance companies. The insurance companies are the ones making the money. And remember, there's a clause in there that Senator Rubio brought up that you haven't heard about since he brought it up that one time in the paper. And it's a clause that says if the insurance companies come out in not making money in the red, that we, the taxpayers, will have to bail them out. So it was written by the insurance companies. It's there as a welfare, as an entitlement program for the insurance companies, and we're basically propping them up. It's not helping the people. We saw the numbers. Out of 7.1 million people, I think 800,000 is roughly where the number is of uninsured that came onto Obamacare. All the other 6.3 or 4 billion people are people that had their insurance canceled. And more than that, had their insurance canceled, and they just said, screw Obamacare, and they're out there without the insurance, and they're paying the tax on this. So, again, people, you can't just listen to the politicians. I know a lot of Democrats out there, I've had emails already coming in to me saying, you're an idiot, you're lying, you're lying, you're lying. Everything I've shown you is factual, people. That actually happened to those 1,800 kids. This is not lies. I mean, I wish they were. And I'm not saying repeal Obamacare. I think it's too late for that. I was saying that a while ago. Now I'm saying fix Obamacare. Fix these issues. This family should not have to go without insurance. We should not, look, this whole bill was passed without ever reading it. And again, it's a welfare program for insurance companies. It's just like how Florida does. And people need to wake up. Florida did the same thing with that idiot Scott in the governor's seat. He went out there, and Rubio, I think, was in the Florida State Senate at the time. I can't remember, but they passed this legislation on PIP. Many of you guys may not realize this in Florida, but you're paying for $10,000 PIP coverage if you're in an auto accident. But did you know that if you don't go to the hospital or to see a doctor within 14 days, you don't get that money? You're paying for $10,000 in PIP coverage. You don't get it. You don't see any of it. If you go to the doctor and he says, yeah, you need treatment beyond $2,500, and the insurance company doesn't agree, guess what? They can cut you off and you're out of luck. Even though you're paying for $10,000, they can cut you off at $2,500. And so who do you think wrote that law? The Republicans. Rubio was one of the idiots up there. The Democrats, and they all pushed it through, and it favors the insurance companies. So we got to get the insurance companies. You got to get the banks out of the pockets of the politicians so that they can start looking after the people and not their pocketbooks, not the pockets that are being padded by these insurance companies and these banksters. It just drives me crazy to no end. And out of the interest of full disclosure, I am my money where I actually get paid and I can barely make a living is as a medical billing. So let's see, the sexual harassment. This worries me, and this is in middle school because I have two lovely daughters. One's in high school, 9th grade, the other one's in 7th grade. And they're just talking about how middle school sexual harassment is widespread and it's going unnoticed by schools and parents. This covers basically in Chicago, and this comes to us from CBS. It says an alarming number of instances of inappropriate sexual behavior among middle school students appears to be going unnoticed by teachers and other adults on a new study that just concluded. 21% of the students say that the survey experienced some form of physical sexual harassment. Instances like being slapped in the butt, being rubbed against their body sexually, being forced to kiss another student. Most of the behavior happens in open areas such as hallways, classrooms, and gymnasiums. 19% of the students said they were victims of rumor spreading of verbal sexual commentary or homophobic name-calling. Researchers also noted that the students dismissed the behavior as joking or not as serious. So, is it a concern? I don't know. Is it? I haven't asked my daughters because I just read that today. I would hope it's not a concern. And the whole idea behind reading this is just to bring some awareness out there in case it is an issue. Maybe sit down with your daughter and your son and explain to them this is inappropriate. You should not be doing this. People should not be doing it to you. Because, you know, I'm a parent and I didn't think anything of it until I read this today. So hopefully you're sitting there out there listening to me and you're thinking, yeah, that is a good conversation to have with my daughter or my son. Because who knows, it could be happening with your son too, or he could be the one out there doing it. So have that conversation, folks. Again, educate, inspire, change. That's what it's all about. This is on Common Core and how these teachers are going, the administrators, school board administrators. I've touched on this so many times on Common Core, how they seem to be taking this bullying attitude out there that you will not be negative towards Common Core. You're going to follow the program to the T, and if you don't, we're going to drop the hammer on you. And this is on a girl, an 8th grade student in New York. And look at this lovely little eighth grader. She seems innocent enough. She was concerned about her fellow students, and she was out there advocating that they opt out of Common Core test because many of them, she felt, did not know that they could opt out of an upcoming Common Core English test. The incident began when a teacher at the Orange Ulster Bocas told her to shut her mouth and keep walking. And they did this when she was out there telling people they did not have to take this controversial test. Shortly afterwards, she was called out of class while she was telling students that they didn't have to take the test. The school principal started coming down on her. She told him, hey, look, I did some research and they don't have to take this test. That's what she told the Times Herald Record. When she started to ask other questions, and that's when she started to feel like she was, what happened is the principal started asking more questions. She felt like she was being interrogated and the principal was coming down on her. The situation was getting hostile, so she quickly walked away. That's when the administrator said to stop like 6 times, telling her she had no business telling the kids that they don't have to take the test. She ended up getting suspended for 2 days. Obviously, they're taking action against that school. She's left that school since then and is going to another school. But it just shows you the lengths that these Common Core advocates will go to, that the Common Core administrators at the schools will push for them, their agenda not to be looked upon negatively. And I was trying to black out that light there that my thing just fell down. So what say you, Common Core? I talk about this subject daily, in and out. Not a fan of it. So many issues. The fun math part of it. Seems like every day I'm bringing more and more concerns about it, and you can't find too much good about it. Sort of like Obamacare. I can't find too many good things about it. So what say you, folks? Anything? 941-584-4874. This next one is this is just on Roma harassment. We're going to cover it. Many of you probably don't know about the Romas over in Europe, so to you it may be totally new. I remember I've come across them in Italy and when I was in Germany. I just thought it was interesting when you talk about tolerance, because a lot of times when you talk tolerance, you talk Europe, you talk tolerance, but it's not that way anymore. They're becoming a lot more extreme over there. A lot more hate rhetoric is going out, and this is on the Roma people.
Europe this morning, where European countries are failing to protect their Roma communities. Well, according to Amnesty International, the 10 to 12 million Roma living in Europe face the daily threat of forced eviction and police harassment. Amnesty noted that the situation is the result of Europe's failure to ensure human rights of the Roma. While the report also accused the European Union of failing to challenge member states on the systemic discrimination of the oppressed population. Roma are traditionally nomadic people whose ancestors left India centuries ago.
Yeah, and you know, when I was over in Europe, we would call them the gypsies. And they were everywhere out there. Okay, we got an incoming call. Should we take it? Let's take it. Hi, you're live on the Francesco Abbruzzino show. Hello? Okay, the person obviously did not want to talk. They got stage fright. All right, so here we go. And that's on the Roma, but the reason I brought it up is, like I said, there's about, in France, 20,000 Roma people live, and they're in extreme poverty. You see it every day there, like those cardboard boxes. It's not unlike how they lived in India, though. And how they're in Greece, they're having issues too there, where police are accused of harassing Roma, conducting more than 1,130 operations against their settlements. It's been going on for years like that since I've been going to Europe, so it's not new, but it's more of bringing that awareness out to everybody's attention. Gun safety, this guy's got to go. Holder. I don't think Eric Holder, as the AG, has done anything positive or good or constructive since he's been in that office. He's helped the racial divide get even worse. Now he's advocating these bracelets for your guns. They're calling it for gun safety. Let me see who the site is to, so if we'll have trouble. No, it's on YouTube, so it'll pop right up. Let's listen to the YouTube video real quick, and then we'll go and discuss basically gun safety and tracking bracelets that he wants to introduce. And
I mean, I think that one of the things that we learned when we were trying to get past those common sense reforms last year, Vice President Biden and I had a meeting with a group of technology people and talked about how guns can be made more safe by making them either through fingerprint identification, the gun talks to a bracelet or something that you might wear, how guns can be used only by the person who is lawfully in possession of the weapon. So it's those kinds of things that I think we want to try to explore, so that we can make sure that people have the ability to enjoy their Second Amendment rights, while at the same time decreasing the misuse of weapons that lead to the kinds of things that we see on a daily basis, where people, kids especially. All right,
you want safety on a daily basis? I tell you what, tell the people to put up their gun. A couple things. When I first originally heard of this, I thought, well, maybe, safety, because I've always wanted one of those guns with my fingerprint on it, so I don't have to get too nervous. Right now, mine's locked up in a safe next to my bed where I can do my fingerprint, and I'm the only one that has it. I'm the only one that can get the access to the gun. It's fully loaded, ready to go. However, I'd like to be able to leave it out fully ready to go if it would only go off of my fingertip. Now, the issue with these bans is, A, what happens to all the guns that were out there prior to a ban coming out? Do they become obsolete? Do you have to then turn them in because the new law mandates that you need this little band or bracelet around your arm? If you don't have that, then your gun's illegal. I could see that happening. I could see that happening with this liberal White House that's out there. I could see it very much happening with Holder. Now, the other question is does it have controls? A lot of these new units that the government is instituting, like GPS in cars and all that stuff, they can stop you. So can they send out a mass signal to all these bracelets and make it so that they don't work, and in effect shutting down your ability to use your gun? Do we want that? Doesn't that basically take away our Second Amendment right? Sure, the right is to bear arms, It doesn't say that you need to shoot it, and that's probably the logic they'll use there. We're not taking away your right. You're allowed to bear it. However, we may want to control any unsafe situation and shut down all the guns in this vicinity. Unfortunately, yours is one of it. But can you see where they could go that extra mile? And again, it's taken a little bit by little bit until you become conditioned to accept it the way it is, and then they can go in and make even more changes, which take away more of your rights as American citizens. You know, gun safety. And again, I'm not against gun safety. I think gun safety is great. I was really, at first I had my gun in here without any ammo because I didn't want my kids to get to it. Now it's locked up in the safe that only I can get into, so I have ammo in there and I can quickly get into it if anyone's trying to break into my house. I have easy access to it, but still it's somewhat limited. So what say you, folks? The Justice Department's requested $382 million to increase the spending on gun safety. I don't know if I want the government spending $382 million on what is common sense. Gun safety is mostly common sense. Don't put your gun around where the kids are. I mean, common sense, lock it up like I have. Recent innovations allow gun owners to only unlock a safe with a fingerprint, which is what I have. RFID-equipped bracelets transmit local data and are used by law enforcement agencies to send automatic alerts to your weapon. See right there. Cops can send alerts to your weapon. So do you think they can shut it down? Come on, folks. We do not want that. And what they're doing is trying to find another way around, taking away our Second Amendment right, basically. They did that with the manufacturing of ammo, the widespread purchases of ammo. I told you guys about the Homeland Security, the United States Postal Service, all these entities that are buying up all these rounds of ammo, and it comes out to more ammo than what the Army has on hand. Next, EPA power grab. I did something about the EPA the other day, and now they're back in the news again. Republican lawmakers join farmers and land developers discouraging the EPA from asserting a proposed rule which will increase its regulatory authority over the nation's streams and wetlands. In the most breathtaking power grab I've seen in a long time, according to Pat Toomey, a Republican. He signed with 14 other GOP senators. They declared that the proposed rule hurts economic activity and oversteps the legal bounds with clean water. Basically, what they want to do is the EPA wants to be able to control all waterways. So if there's a temporary rainstorm and you have an area that's prone to flooding, and next thing you know, there's a lake there. Nature creates this lake from all the rain. It's only there temporarily for like a week. They want to be able to come in as the EPA and control and dictate to the farmers on how they can handle that land and subject them to regulation of these water pools on their private land that came about through rainfall. So it has many farmers concerned that they may overstep their bounds. And do we really need the EPA out there regulating a puddle of rain, wetlands, pond that's just been that's going to sit there just for a week? Do we really need that type of government regulation? I challenge you on that one and say no, we do not. It's just another power grab. This next step we're going into is on immigration. 941-584-4874 is the call in. Everybody knows I'm against amnesty. Yesterday I covered a great reason why. The tunnels there, some other issues I'm going to bring up today, but we've brought up numerous issues on amnesty. This one is Jeb Bush. And it just cracks me up. This is a Breitbart. We might have the same problem with it, so let me try pulling it up right now. He says, and keep in mind when I read this, what Jeb Bush said, he's our ex-governor here in Florida. He's married to Colombia, which is an individual from Mexico. So when you listen to him, Jeb, or his son's in politics too, you got to think when it comes to amnesty, they're going to favor it. Okay? Just due to the fact that he's close ties to Mexico, be it with his wife, his son, all that good stuff. So let's see if it's going to pop up. We might be in luck here with Breitbart on this one. That's why I like when they go straight to YouTube. They seem to pick up a lot better. Here we go. We get the lovely 13-second commercial on the Dropbox again. And I can't talk over it, and they won't let me lower the sound. All right. Maybe play less Breitbart on here. What do you folks think? Here we go.
Library, and we talked about immigration, education, and a whole lot more.
So the Senate bill attempts to do that. I think it was a good effort to try to do exactly what you're saying, which is that the rule of law requires us to be able to, for example, 40% of illegal immigrants come with legal visas and they overstay their bounds. A great country ought to know where those folks are and politely ask them to leave. It's okay, now you've cut out 6 million people, and if you did that from, kind of as it occurs, it would restore people's confidence. There are means by which we can control our border better than we have, and there should be penalties for breaking the law. But the way I look at this, and this is not, I'm going to say this and it'll be on tape, and so be it. The way I look at this is someone who comes to our country because they couldn't come legally. They come to our country because their families, a dad who loved their children was worried that their children didn't have food on the table. And they wanted to make sure their family was intact. And they crossed the border because they had no other means to work, to be able to provide for their family. Yes, they broke the law, but it's not a felony. It's kind of it's an act of love.
All right, fair enough. So it's an act of love when they come over here, and it may be. I know many immigrants come to the United States because there's a better living that they can make here. They can provide for their families back in Mexico. I get that. I get that it's not a major law violation. It's not a felony. They're just illegally coming across the border or overstaying their visa. I get all that. The problem is you start granting amnesty to all these people. You're taking away jobs for many of American citizens. You're taking away educational opportunities for many Americans, which I'll cover in a second. And just so many opportunities out there. Why can't they go through the normal process? The process that my father went through. I'm a first-generation Italian-American. My father went through the legal process of immigrating over here, and everything worked out. I don't understand why these individuals are pushing so much for this amnesty for these illegals when definitely they can't control the border. And I showed that yesterday when we saw the 3 tunnels that were used for human trafficking and drug smuggling. So we get all that. We get what Bush is saying, but we can't. And until this government tightens up on the border, you can't even consider amnesty. I tell you what, you go to Mexico and try to declare an amnesty over there and try to overstay your visa. They won't tolerate it. They won't say, here's free medical. They won't say, oh, you're a dreamer. Let's give you free education, which brings up this next issue. 5,000 legal students in Florida to lose their tuition to illegals. And this was put out by Ellen West. Everyone talks about the American dream, but are we purposefully ruining it for the American kids? Liberal progressives use oxymoronic labels when they push out these different laws, like the Patient Protection is Affordable Care Act, when in reality we're finding out that it's not really patient protection now, is it? The DREAM Act, our Consumer Finance and the Protection Bureau. Now we have the DREAM Act, which seeks to provide opportunities to illegal immigrant children that the progressives so warmly renamed the Dreamers. Now these are kids that their parents immigrated over here when they were young. They might have been 1, 2, whatever the age is. They grew up in America. They learned the American way. They truly believe they're American citizens, and some of them may have thought they were. The problem is they're not. So through executive order, Obama signed the DREAM Act, and what that does is it allows these students to go out there and displace Florida higher level institutions with illegal aliens. So people like my daughter, because I'm in Florida, my daughters may not have the opportunities to go to college if they're competing for the same position with an illegal immigrant. Because the illegal immigrant, they may have 4,999 slots. My daughter's going up against this one person, and they're like, well, we only got one more position, but look at this. We need our 5,000 illegal immigrant in here, so we're going to go with her instead of Isabella. They have on here, HB 851 will displace 5,026 legal students. SB 1400 would displace 5,175 legal students. 851 is estimated to cost us $21.7 million. SB 14 is going to cost us $22.7 million. So we're paying all these millions of dollars for these illegals to go to college, to displace citizens of the United States that want to go to college, and they can't. Where's the justice in that, folks? Why aren't you guys upset about that? Why aren't you screaming mad about these dreamers and how these politicians, the Democrats, because it was the Democrat Congress and Senate and that were pushing for this. It was Obama that executive ordered it. It's Obama that benefits from it. These immigrants generally vote liberal. They vote Democrat. They want the entitlements. They want the free college. No, my daughter may not be able to go to college. Many Floridian residents may not have the opportunity to go to college, even though they're citizens, even though they have the grades to support it, because you have a law like this. It's not that much different than affirmative action, basically. Allocating so much spots to the Spanish illegal immigrants, I shouldn't say Spanish, to the illegal immigrants, and taking away from people that have our residents, our citizens. Affirmative action does basically the same thing. We need to allocate so many spots to these two individuals. They're all citizens in that case, just different race and genders issues that case there, right? So it's a form of discrimination against Florida residents that are legal citizens of the United States. Congress preps for immigration executive orders. Now they're wanting the president to put in another executive order basically signing off on less deportations. Forget the fact that I covered, I think, a week or two ago about the deportations, that many of these individuals that commit crimes are not being deported. They're putting back out in the street. I think it was like 75% without notifying the victim or the local law enforcement. Now they're saying you're just deporting way too many. So we want an executive order that you're going to slow down the deportation process to a snail's pace, because these guys don't deserve to be deported. They deserve to be able to stay here, sign up for Obamacare. Yep, many immigrants, illegal immigrants, are signed up for Obamacare somehow. Go to college, take away our educational opportunities. Yeah, makes a whole hell of a lot of sense. What say you? I mean, I understand it. I get it. I really don't get it. All right, so next is this news anchor cracked me up how he loses it on Democrats and Republicans. I was watching it the other day. It's sort of funny. We'll watch a little bit of it and see where it takes us. The lovely commercial.
We owe $70 trillion.
I understand that, but
to walk out a $4 trillion solution, which is basically just a way for the Democrats to avoid dealing with this until 2017. I'm not here to talk about plans to deal with this till 2017. I'm saying we've got a real problem, and I'm tired of Republicans and Democrats who either want Republicans who want to burn the place to the ground, and Democrats, with all due respect, who want to offer a plan that gets it through their end of their second term of their presidency, and then screws me and my kids when it's over. And until we do that, we have to deal with the extraction that is at foot. It is the reason the financial markets are behaving the way they're behaving. That is a mathematical fact. This is not some opinion. This is a mathematical fact. Tens of trillions of dollars are being extracted from the United States of America. Democrats aren't doing it. Republicans are not doing it. An entire integrated system, financial system, trading system, taxing system that was created by both parties over a period of 2 decades is at work on our entire country right now. And we're sitting here arguing about whether we should do the $4 trillion plan that kicks the can down the road for the president for 2017 or burn the place to the ground, both of which are reckless, irresponsible, and stupid. And the fact of the matter is, until we actually, and I'm sorry to lose my temper again, but I tell you what, I've been coming on TV for 3 years doing this, and the fact of the matter is that there's a refusal on both the Democratic and the Republican side of the aisle to acknowledge the mathematical problem, which is that the United States of America is being extracted. It's being extracted through banking, it's being extracted through trade, and it's being extracted through taxation. And there's not a single politician that has stepped forward, Susan, to deal with this.
But there's only one right now. The leader of the free world, whether you
All right.
like it or not.
I just love how this news guy just went off and saying, I'm sick of both parties. We're crumbling. America's becoming a third-rate country. I'm sick of the excuses from the Republicans and the Democrats. Many people feel this way. I loved how he went on the rant. You know, if you have time to listen to the whole rant, it's on YouTube. Unfortunately, they give me a weird address, but if you email me, I'll send you that address. This next one's a sad incident from out of Detroit. Detroit's where I was born. Lived there many years. That's where my family immigrated to, outside Detroit. So many of the Abbruzinos are still there. But this incident, it just illustrates how mean the streets are in Detroit, which they are pretty tough streets. And what happened to this poor 54-year-old who accidentally hit an individual that was a 10-year-old, I believe. Now, the police did not cite the driver. They said he didn't do anything wrong. But just take a listen to what happened here. This is part of my what's happening with society, the breakdown of society.
This majestic stage comes to life. Now, as Rory leads a group looking to capture
this illustrates the breakdown of society. What's happening to us as a people that kids would do this to a 54-year-old man.
A man is fighting to survive tonight after a terrible accident turned into something even worse. The driver hit a boy and then found himself under attack when he stopped to help a child. 7 Action News reporter Julie Bonovich tells us how it all unfolded in Detroit.
A 10-year-old boy named David was running to his friend's house and crossing the street near Belfort in Detroit when police say he darted in front of a pickup truck.
David was laying right in front of the driveway, and blood come out of his mouth, and he couldn't move his body.
James Gustin Jr. says his godson has a broken leg. Witnesses told police and 7 Action News that the driver who hit David, a 54-year-old man, got out to help him. But before he could help the boy, a group of teens and adults jumped him and started beating him.
I think it lasted about 1 minute, and then they let him go, and then they jumped back on him again, and then they did it about 3 times, and finally, somebody was trying to help the guy that got beat up. It was sad because I knew the guy got out of his car trying to see what damage he did.
David's godfather says the family doesn't approve of what the group of people did to the driver.
I did see it happening. My concern, honestly, was on David. But then I thought they had stopped. I'm not 100% sure. Again, my whole thing was on my godson at the time. We don't condone that at all. I talked to Mom and I told her about it, and she just was like, no, we wouldn't want that to happen.
We talked with the driver's son tonight off camera. He said his father has bleeding on the brain, and they're waiting to see whether or not he'll need brain surgery. From Detroit, Julie Bonovich, 7 Action.
Yeah, and this is it went beyond just your basic beating, folks. This is a bunch of individuals jumping all over this 54-year-old, and they said there was 10 guys. They beat the heck out of him. Then they would stop. They would start beating the heck out of him again, and they did this for like 3 times, and it went on for a while. And finally someone stepped in and said, "What the heck are you guys doing here?" But it all flows along with my breakdown of societal standards. What's happening to us as a people, as a society, that we would tolerate something like that? I'm not going to take that phone call right now, whoever it is. And so let's go to this next video, which basically covers a breakdown of society.
After the events of Marvel's Captain America, the Winter Soldier...
Or at least I thought it did. Hold on, I just reading that.
Everything changes.
This is a battle for S.H.I.E.L.D. soul, and we're on the front lines.
You know what?
Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
It just shows 11-year-old. That's the wrong video. I put the wrong video in there. We're gonna decline that call. I'm not gonna take any calls right now because I just noticed that I'm behind. So if you're trying to call in, please hold off until tomorrow. Ebola. As everybody knows, I've been tracking this on a daily basis with you guys since it began. And now they're saying it's getting even worse. We know about the riots where many people were concerned about their well-being yesterday within Ghana, and there were riots throughout the city with growing concern. Now they're saying that besides Canada, that it may have spread over here to the U.S. It says that the Canadian man was traveling. He was infected and brought it to Canada, which I told everybody about last week. This other individual flew from West Africa to New York City, caught another flight to Minneapolis. Given what they know about the Lassa virus, it spread to people. The risk of the traveler and members of the public, they're saying, is extremely low. Even though he has Ebola, they feel that it's extremely low. Some have even suggested that the strain of Ebola that is going around might be airborne. Which is unusual, they say, for Ebola, so it's just another concern. Death toll continues to rise there. Many people are still alarmed. At one point, the government of Ghana said it was under control. That was like a week and a half ago before it spread to two of the surrounding countries there. Now it's over here in the U.S. Hopefully, nobody was impacted by that individual on the plane, but we'll see what happens. Oh, here it is. The Ebola passenger. I actually got a video on it. See, I'm paying attention now. Yesterday I didn't pay attention to this stuff. Let's see. Here we go. This person really wants to talk to me here, huh?
I want to thank everyone for coming here on such short notice. We issued a media advisory, as you're aware, on relatively short timelines. Because we were concerned about some misinformation that was already circulating in the as the media advisory states, Saskatchewan is currently investigating a case of a suspect, a case of viral hemorrhagic fever. We have very limited information at this point in time. The person is hospitalized in an acute situation in intensive care unit. The person traveled from Liberia. And that really is all the information that we have at this moment.
All right. So there you have it on Ebola. As usual with me, I'm behind. So I'm starting to skip around my subject matter. I did want to hop over to the Ukraine and talk a little bit about that. Who knows? Maybe I should go to 3 hours because I'm always running behind. Ukraine leaders are slamming Russia for an attempt to tear the country apart. We're going to play a few videos. This is basically, they're looking at a civil war over there. You have 3 different areas that have now declared their independence. Let's go ahead. I've got 3 different videos where I think they're showing the clashes, so we're going to go into those videos, and I'll try to talk through them in between them as we progress down there. So, okay, this is coming to us from the Wall Street Journal. Basically, the protesters are setting tires on fires and plastic barriers on fire. The U.S. claimed pro-Russian elements were behind the demonstrations, but Russia is denying it. Let's see.
Pro-Russia protesters occupying the local council building in the eastern Ukrainian city of Donetsk declared an independent republic on Monday and called for a referendum on joining Russia. In Kharkiv, another eastern city, police managed to clear the regional administration building of protesters, who at one point reportedly threw Molotov cocktails into the building and set fire to tires, sending plumes of smoke into the sky. Ukraine and the US have blamed Russia for inciting unrest.
We're concerned about several escalatory moves in Ukraine over the weekend, and we see those as a result of increased Russian pressure on Ukraine.
See, I don't know if that's true.
As we noted, we saw increased Russian pressure on demonstrators take over government buildings in the eastern cities of Kharkiv, Donetsk, and Luhansk. And there is strong evidence suggesting some of these demonstrators were paid and were not local residents.
The situation has some similarities to Crimea, where armed men seized the local parliament building in late February before calling for Russian troops. Moscow annexed the peninsula late last month. But it's not clear that the protesters in the east have enough support to achieve their aims.
You know, it's easy for the Carney and for the United States to sit up there and blame Russia, which I would too if I was a government official. I'd say, oh, Russia's instigating this. But how do we know that? Can you show me actual facts, actual data that shows me without a doubt that Russia is in there promoting this? And then again, if they are in there promoting this uprising, what's the difference? They basically are doing what we did. So it's okay for the United States to do it, but it's not okay for Russia to do it. The United States is good when they try to go out there and foment protests. When Russia tries to go out there and foment protests, it's bad. And this is a country that's right next door to them, a country that they have a lot of influence over, a country that has a lot of ethnic Russians in. It's almost hypocritical, isn't it? So let's go to this next one because it continues, and this is about the clashes breaking out and the strive for independence. This comes to us from Russian Times. They got a Russian slant. Basically, where the three regions, Kharkov, Donetsk, and I forget the third one, have declared independence from Russia, or I'm sorry, Ukraine. Not necessarily all of them want to go to Russia. I think only one of the areas that declared independence was saying they wanted to go to Russia.
In the eastern Ukrainian city of Kharkov, clashes have erupted outside an administrative building occupied by anti-Kiev protesters. Now, according to reports, activists are still holding the building, despite earlier claims that security forces had pushed them out. A fire that was burning earlier on the first floor has now been put out by fire services there. Let's now cross live to Graham William Phillips, who is in eastern Ukraine for us. Now, tell us what is happening in Kharkov right now.
Who have joined the anti-Kiev, the pro-Russia side, but there's also been reports of those, at this moment in time, unknown activists, this is pro-Euromaidan, pro-Kiev, who have been effectively mounting raids on this occupied building and provocations against the police, some of whom have gone to the pro-Russia side. So there are reports of unidentified and at this stage unconfirmed reports of individuals, organizations that have been involved and who are involved in this ongoing tussle at the moment over the Kharkiv administrative building.
All right, thank you very much, Grant William Phillips, who is with us in Ukraine.
All right, we just got two more videos to cover here. God, this person, whoever you are out there, if you're listening, please stop. It's getting ridiculous. And this number is only given out for my radio show, so it's amazing that whoever keeps calling it is calling it. All right. Let's see. Here's another one on Kharkov. Protesters declaring independence.
Well, people in the Ukrainian city of Kharkiv have declared independence from Kiev. A same move by pro-Russians in Donetsk. Protesters have announced the formation of the Independent People's Republic of Kharkiv outside of the regional administration building. They've also held their own election of what they call national lawmakers. Earlier in the day, people in the eastern city of Donetsk declared their independence and formation of the People's Republic of Donetsk. They have demanded a referendum to be held by May the 11th so they can join Russia. The head of Donetsk Interior Ministry has also defected to the new pro-Russian authorities. He is in charge of 16,000 security forces.
Weeks have passed since Crimea declared independence and rejoined Russia. Now, similar calls are growing among people in eastern Ukraine. In Donetsk, pro-Russians have declared independence from Kiev, proclaiming the creation of the Independent People's Republic of Donetsk.
Trying to form a people's legal, democratic, and sovereign state, we announced the creation of the sovereign state of the People's Republic of Donetsk. The activists are now in control of several regional state offices.
offices, including the state administration building. They to send peacekeeping forces into the region. Protesters have also urged a referendum to be held by May 11th to join Russia. The area outside the regional administration building was packed with people who burst into joy after the Donetsk Declaration of Independence was read. Developments in Donetsk have sparked angry reactions from Ukraine's internal authorities. Acting President Alexander Turchinov has accused Russia of playing out, quote, the second stage of efforts.
All right, so that basically, sorry for all the distractions, folks. I have this idiot calling me here on the phone constantly. I have people walking around here talking to me and whispering to me, and I can't understand a word they're saying, but they're still whispering to me. It's like, oh my God, you guys are distracting. All right, now let's get out of the Ukraine. So we know there's civil war. There's a lot of issues there, a lot of uprisings. A lot of people are saying that this is fomenting a reason for that Russia's fomenting this so that they have a reason to come in, protect their ethnic Russians, and also because the areas are saying we want to be a part of Russia, and if they're declaring that through a referendum, then it's giving them the legal reason to come in and take it like they did in Crimea. So a lot of people are on edge. A lot of people are concerned in the Ukraine, especially, obviously, and then in Western Europe and actually all of Europe and the United States. This takes us over to Syria. This is on a gas attack. You guys all remember the gas attack? And Obama tried to use that as the premise for going into Syria, stating that the Syrian government attacked the militants, the ultra-extremists, with poisonous gases. I had a lot of doubts about it back then. Russia stepped up, was able to defuse this. A lot of people viewed it as a black flag, if you will, reasoning to get the United States involved in the conflict to get rid of Assad, who they don't want in office. So the this reporter went out, and this story is by Kurt Nimmel.
The new report shows Turkey was behind last year's sarin gas attack carried out by foreign-backed insurgents in Syria. The American investigative journalist Seymour Hersh has said in an article published in the London Review of Books that Turkey staged the gas attack to provoke a U.S. war on Syria. The attack in the Damascus suburb of Ghouta last August claimed hundreds of lives. The Obama administration and the U.S. media immediately blamed the Syrian government for the atrocity. The incident also became the pretext for a warmongering campaign by Washington and its allies. Hersh's account shows the U.S. military leadership knew that the White House claims were false. The report also says that the American and British intelligence had been aware that insurgents in Syria were developing chemical weapons. So far, the UN-led inquiries have found no evidence on the government's involvement.
All right, so there you go. There's really been no evidence of any involvement by the Syrian government. Now somebody else is calling. There's been no evidence by the Syrian government. Seymour Hersh, who's a Pulitzer Prize-winning reporter, went out there, and through his investigative journalism, he says that he's discovered or deduced that the Syrian gas attack in the Damascus suburb of Ghouta last year basically was perpetrated by Turkey and not by Syria as a black flag approach. I don't know if he's getting this too just because of what Turkey recently did, where they were discussing a black flag approach to bombing their own citizens or bombing an area that they control within Syria and using that as a means to go in and start bombing Turkey. So it's all concerning. And you know what else is concerning is the fact that supposedly the British intelligence and the United States intelligence knew that the Syrian government was not behind it. They knew that the president was using this as an impetus to get in there and attack the Syrian government and further support the militants who, again, I got to put a lot of emphasis on, are Al-Qaeda, Al-Nusra extremists, basically. That are involved out there. So, very concerning. People are playing phone tag out there on my phone. Okay, this phone line is only for the show. So I'm assuming if you're calling, you're watching this show, and you can stop calling, and you're probably seeing all that, and you're thinking it's funny as heck. All right, so we're going to move on now to protesters descending in Albuquerque in the city, because it's not. This is. global unrest isn't just about Syria, the Ukraine, Brazil, Argentina, Chile, wherever you have the unrest out there, Venezuela, in the world. There's some unrest sort of here in the United States with Albuquerque. They were out there again protesting. People are upset at the use of force by the Albuquerque police force. All right, sorry about that. By the Albuquerque police force, because they have this philosophy, or what's perceived as a philosophy, of shoot first, ask questions later. This was further antagonized when they shot James Boyd, a 38-year-old homeless man. He was illegally camping in the foothills of Albuquerque, and they basically shot him in the back. After they shot him down, they had a dog attack him. There were some protests, like the following weekend, where about 1,000 people showed up. For about 10 hours, after about 8 hours, there were only 100 people left or something like that. Then the protests got nasty with the cops and the coming down on the protesters, or the protesters antagonizing the police, whatever your position is on that. And then they had another shooting incident right after that. So the point is global unrest goes beyond just the foreign countries, beyond Ukraine, beyond Malaya, beyond Syria, beyond Turkey, and all these other places that we keep mentioning on here. Okay, next we're going to cover into... this is on Argentina. This is on Buenos Aires. And again, it's not unrest with people against... okay, sorry folks. Just got a message on one of my media sites. This is about the governor of Argentina. He's closed. He's taken a... Buenos Aires and put a state of emergency on it, overwhelmed because they're overwhelmed with crime and outbreak of lynching. He declared a 12-month state of emergency because it's gotten so bad there. The crime has gotten so bad. People are nervous. People are concerned. The emergency is a legal instrument we have to speed up as our investment. They're trying to increase the tourism. They don't want people staying away, basically because of the crime-ridden streets of Buenos Aires, which I never realized were that bad until this Merkel Press put out the fact that it's a South Atlantic news agency, that there was a state of emergency declared. And he's using it, like I said, as a legal instrument we have to speed up the investments we need to do to face this kind of crime and dealing with the decisions that we are making out here. So global unrest now in Argentina as it spreads. Now that's not something over austerity, over the food, over the devaluation of the Venezuelan currency. It's more of just some major crime, which you see in a lot of South America. You see it here in the United States, where crime is just horrendous, and you'll never see a state of emergency. In some cities, we probably need that with how bad the crime is. And I'm sorry, I'm just distracted between these phone calls and the texting and something else. Let's go ahead and take this call. See, you take the... Okay, let's take this call. This is the Francesco Abbruzzino live show.
Your chair squeaking.
Who?
Your chair squeaking.
Okay. Is that all you wanted to tell me? Hello? Okay. So, we did... This is Francesco Abbruzzino. How can I help you? You're live. Hello? You're what? Huh? Alright, it's obviously some idiot. Alright, so we got an idiot. As you can see, people can call in and be idiots like that guy with the squeaky chair. Alright, so no idea who it is. There's a little squeaking for you. Good, good. Okay. Now, next on the agenda, we're going to be talking about China. They told the U.S. to stop meddling into the region. The senior Chinese officials have warned the United States and its allies against stirring up troubles across the volatile Asia-Pacific. Chinese Foreign Ministry spokesman said Washington needed to be more responsible and stop spreading rumors about the right-wing Japanese forces. This is in regards to the United States sending 2 more battleships out into the waters there, and it was primarily driven by the Koreans shooting off the short-range missiles and Japan's authorizing shooting them down, and then you have the islands that they're fighting over with China. Also, China threatened Biden and basically warned him, saying to stay out of the Hong Kong issues, to mind their own business and not to meddle into that foreign policy area. Bahrain forces attack anti-regime protesters in Sitra. This is another day of violence after they had a crackdown with dissidents a couple days ago, where several people were injured. Targeted demonstrators in Sitra were hit with a barrage of tear gas canisters, and they finally brought it under control. The Bahrainians, they've killed and hundreds injured and jailed, and the regime forces were broken down. We're going to go into this anti-gun mayor who loses it on TV. So we're going to cover that. And hold on one second. Okay, this is the Blaze, so it's going to take a while. Smartphones are fading. Wearables are next. CNN Money. This is only the beginning of the Orwellian Minority Report of the future. Actually, this is the wrong report that I wanted to do on this mayor. Hold on one second. Alright, I'm having some files issues. Alright, you know what, folks? The Blaze doesn't want to cooperate with me, so we're going to do... Let me see, we're going to jump ahead. Basically, what I was going to cover is... I know I got to block that phone number. This is only the beginning of the Orwellian. This is on wearable tech, the surveillance grid of the future. Consumers will be adorning themselves with wearable technology that will weave an incredibly detailed picture of their lives, a cloud of information that will float around you with details on sleep habits. I tell you what, folks, I got to block 2 numbers. I'm going to end the show, but I'm going to put you guys off to a video, another Woody Harrelson reflecting some stuff. Then I'll come back, I'll close out the show, and then we'll block those for tomorrow so that the idiots... I don't mind if people want to call in and debate stuff, but if you want to call in and you're a 30-year-old acting like you're a 2-year-old, I really don't want to talk to you. So let's go ahead to that Woody Harrelson thing, and we'll just keep outing these guys here on this calling thing. And this is called Thoughts from Within by Woody Harrelson.
I sometimes feel like an alien creature for which there is no earthly explanation. Sure, I have human form, erect with opposing digits, but my mind is upside down. I feel like a run-on sentence in a punctuation-crazy world, and I see the world around me like a mad collective dream. An endless stream of people move like ants on the freeway, cell phones, PCs, and digital displays. In money we trust, we'll find happiness, prevailing attitude. Like a genetically modified, irradiated Big Mac is somehow symbolic of food. Morality is legislated, prisons overpopulated, religion is incorporated, the profit motive has permeated all activity. We pay our government to let us park on the street. And war is the biggest money maker of all. We all know missile envy only comes from being small. Politicians and prostitutes are comfortable together. I wonder if they talk about the strange change in the weather. This government was founded by, of, and for the people, but everybody Nobody feels it like a they represent us anymore. And blaming the president for the country's woes is like yelling at a puppet for the way it sings. Who's the man behind the curtain pulling the strings? A billion people sitting watching their TV in the room that they call living. But as for me, I see living as loving. And since there is no loving room, I sit on the grass under a tree, dreaming of the way things used to be. Pre-industrial revolution. Which of course was before the rivers and oceans and skies were polluted, before Parkinson's and mad cows and all the convoluted cacophony of bad ideas like skyscrapers and tree paper and earth scrapers like Monsanto and DuPont had their way, as they continue to today. This was pre-us, back when the buffalo roamed and the Indians homes the forest and God was nature and heaven was here and now. Can you imagine clean water, food, and air, living in community with animals? Do you dare to feel responsible for every dollar you lay down? Are you going to make the rich man richer, or are you going to stand your ground? You say you want a revolution, a communal evolution, to be a part of the solution? Maybe I'll be seeing you around.
All right, there you have it. So we're going to end on that note with that Woody Harrelson, and we'll take care of those numbers so the goofballs aren't calling in tomorrow. That's the end of the show for today. We're cutting it early, 6 minutes early. Francesco Abbruzzino. If you want to become a sponsor, just look at the end. You'll see fabbruzzino@yahoo.com where to send the email to. Hopefully we've educated you, inspired you, and inspired you to make a change out there for the better. So for Francesco Abbruzzino, everybody have a great night. I think I'm going to go out and hit up some surf. I'll talk to everybody later.